guys. So, I wanted to come on and talk about something that was pretty important today. There's this idea that people who are addicted to gambling specifically are like morally weak, just stupid, have no self control, that there's something wrong with us in the head, like in the sense that, we're less than or we're dumber than, we're less educated, we're making dumb, impulsive decisions. And while the decisions are pretty dumb in essence and impulsive, there's more to it than just being stupid. In fact, we're not stupid at all. Gambling addiction is actually a sickness. And though you still have to take the accountability for yourself and get better and actually, you're the only one that can fix your situation, that doesn't mean that you're stupid at all. You can get into these terrible positions solely because your brain is hardwired to do it. It's actually a sickness. So something that a lot of people look over, or overlook rather, is the fact that gambling addiction is a diagnosable illness according to the American Psychiatric Association. So basically what that is this group of doctors that define what a sickness is, what a disease is, and they put it into this big book called the DSM-5. And basically, they tell you if you fit this, and this category, you have this illness. And one of the illnesses is called gambling disorder. It's essentially a compulsion disorder, or it used to be seen as a compulsion disorder, where you could not stop doing something, similar to like an OCD. And now it's developed into a full-blown dopamine imbalance disorder in the brain. And essentially what's happening is, again, you're not stupid, you're sick. So what does that sickness look like? What does that feel like? What does that mean? And what it actually means is that your brain is getting pleasure when you gamble. You're gambling for the thrill, for the urge, for the rush, whatever you want to call it, so that you feel differently. You feel good. You feel best, I guess, when you're gambling. And at a certain point, if you end up getting addicted to gambling, what's happening is you're not getting pleasure from anything else except gambling to that extent. So when you're talking about, feeling good, it could be things like feeling joy, feeling like happiness, feeling proud, feeling accomplished, feeling like a sense of accomplishment, And if you're addicted to gambling, you're getting that from gambling. And every other source that you're getting it from just feels less than optimal, less than ideal. So essentially, you're hooked to something, gambling, because your brain, whether consciously or not, is seeing it as your best option for feeling better. And it's that simple, really. However, it is an illness. And in that sense, that provides, the unspoken assumption that it can be worked upon, can be cured. Now, some of the old time, 12-step people will tell you that a gambling addiction can never be cured. But the truth, you can get to a point where gambling is not ruining your life. So whether you want to call it cured or in remission, there is a certain course of action that will lead you to a more peaceful existence without the chaos of gambling, where essentially it's not affecting you at all. And that's pretty much the goal of addiction recovery. People like to call it all kinds of stuff. They like to make it sound more difficult than it really is. But all addiction recovery actually is staying away from gambling long enough that your brain resets itself back to the way it was before. And then when it's at where it was before, you can feel joy in the little things again. You can feel happy and proud of yourself for regular accomplishments that have nothing to do with gambling itself. That's the goal. So, with what I talk about here on my account, I try to just keep it honest with you and share my story of gambling addiction recovery. And it's not all rainbows and sunshine. It's not all great things. In fact, a lot of the days are pretty stale. And that was kind of the idea behind filming myself the day in the life videos that I was putting out a couple weeks ago, where I was calling them Recovery Life. It's just, guys, you're not stupid. People just think they're stupid. They think, oh man, I can't keep doing this to myself. I'm such an idiot that I keep doing this. But when you say that, you give yourself no chance to solve the problem. If you don't believe that you're equipped to stop gambling, you're not going to stop gambling. There's nothing that I can tell you, like no magic words I can say that are going to substitute for your belief that you can get better. Once you know that you can, there's literally things you can do to live a happier and healthier life, you actually have a chance to do it. Let's fix this angle. That'll do. Yeah, once you know that you can do things to live a better life, if you truly believe that you're capable of doing them, that's really the first step. You have to want to quit, and you have to then know how to quit. And once you put those two things together, you're in a great position. Things really can go your way. And it's not that deep. Like, it's actually such a solvable situation, but you have to have that belief in yourself or you're wasting your own time. But again, the dangers of telling yourself that you're stupid, you're less than, you're morally weak, you're a loser, you have no self-control, no way to stick to your budget, you're impulsive and dumb. All of these things, you're just putting yourself down and you're not giving yourself the chance to fix any of them. Even if objectively they may feel like they're the truth, you become what you think about. And if you're not thinking positively, you're not going to become a positive person or get any better. The words that we use to describe certain things, like illness versus impulse disorder versus sickness versus stupidity, they matter. And, you can dive and try to argue over the words left and right with whoever you want. But at the end of the day, the value in the word is just knowing that you're giving yourself a chance when you're not just putting yourself down. And that's what I think is important. Do not put yourself down because you've been struggling up until this point. It can get easier. And, I talk about the ways that it can get easier and the things that you can do to work on it. It's kind of off the topic that I had planned today, but hey, I'm talking to a camera in my car, so I might as well just tell you guys what I do to stay clean as well. And, maybe if you've seen my videos before, I'll sound like a broken record, but hey, it really has worked for me, and I've been really happy over the last year in terms of, not wanting to gamble whenever bad things happen. And so the things that I focus on are time, money, access, and meetings. You have to find a substitute for your time. You have to limit your access to money that'll tempt you. You have to limit your access to gambling itself with self-exclusions, and you have to go to group meetings. And you have to go to group meetings where you can talk to other people who have the same issues as you and learn what's working for them to stay clean. When you're able to put all of these things together, what you have is a blueprint for success. But again, that blueprint wouldn't matter if you don't believe that you can use it. If you just think you're an idiot and that is where you're going to end the sentence, then having a blueprint to succeed won't mean anything because you don't feel like you're going to be equipped to use it. So if you take anything at all from this video, I want you to know that your problems are real. You are going through a hard time. There's definitely something that needs to be worked on if you're watching this video, or maybe someone that you know has something that they need to work on if you're watching this video. But you're not stupid, and it can get better. Once you know that it can get better, you can do something about it. Constantly we're putting ourselves down. Like, say you wanted to work a job and you think to yourself, man, I'm not qualified. I could never work that job. That's not true. Maybe you're not qualified, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't become qualified. You can work that job at some point, but you have to figure out what you need to do in order to accomplish the requirements so that you can do it. It's the same with a gambling addiction. People say to me all the time, man, I want to quit gambling so bad, but I don't think I'll ever be able to. I cannot stop myself. Well, if you don't think you're ever going to be able to, you're never going to quit. That is the real problem here. If you say, I'm always going to go back to gambling, then you will always go back to gambling. But if you say, I want to quit gambling and I want to learn how I can quit gambling because what I've been doing so far hasn't worked, that's an entirely different mindset about the situation. And that gives you an actual chance. I hope that makes it a little bit more clear as to what I was spitballing earlier when I was stuck in some traffic in Philly here. I tried to quit so many times on my own that at a certain point I thought, man, you're just not going to be capable of stopping. You're doing something wrong. This is a major problem, and you are never going to be able to figure it out. These were things that I would tell myself. And guess what all that accomplished? Absolutely nothing. I ended up going back to gambling over and over again because it's all that I really knew. It's all that I expected myself to do. I expected that I would end up going back to that reality over and over again. And until I stopped expecting that I would fail, I kept failing. If you go into any situation expecting the worst will happen. And that's like a mindset that some people have, like, don't get your hopes up, is something people say all the time. Well, you don't have to irrationally get your hopes up, but if you're consistently wishing yourself, whether consciously or subconsciously, that you're going to fail, you will end up failing at some point. And so why even wish that on yourself? People will ask me, do you fear relapsing? Do you fear going back to gambling? Of course I don't. Because if I did, I would just be sitting around waiting for it to happen. It would give power over the idea of a relapse over me. Like, what would that accomplish? I shouldn't fear something that I've been working towards staying away from my entire adult life now. I'm working the best way that I know. I'm seeking more information every single day on how to do it better, and I continue to improve my life on a daily basis. Why would I fear going 180 degrees in the other, going in the other direction and failing when I'm doing something that I consider to be succeeding? You have to put yourself in the mindset of success when it comes to this, in gambling addiction recovery, in addiction recovery in general. And it's not going to be easy. You're not going to have all the answers right away, but you're not stupid. You're sick. And once you realize that, you have a real possible chance of recovering. And just continue to work at it. Don't tell yourself you're going to fail at it, because then you will. Tell yourself, maybe I had a bad day. Maybe I did have a relapse. What went wrong that I could fix for next time? View it as a blueprint rather than putting yourself down over and over again because you made a mistake. There's no point in putting yourself down over a mistake because, hey, we've all made mistakes. If anyone says they haven't made a mistake, they're lying. And if you feel like someone else around you is perfect or have it all together, they absolutely don't. I mean, when I was in high school and in college, I went to a really, really good college, and I got great grades in high school and was in every club and seemingly great on paper. You know what happened to me? I got addicted to gambling, and I spent 6 years of my life miserable chasing after something I didn't even need. Did anyone around me expect that? Maybe my closest friends, and sorry for any bumps we're going through here, we're on a highway. Did anyone around me really expect that didn't know me all that well? Definitely not. On paper, I looked like I had it all together. Like, I was moving in the right direction, knew what I was going to be doing, and had a very clear and promising future laid out in front of me. But things really aren't what they seem, guys. And if you feel like someone around you is perfect, they're probably the ones that are struggling the most behind the scenes. So does that make them stupid? Does that make them a failure? No, I think we're much more judgmental of ourselves than we are of other people, whether we admit that or not. We might say, oh my God, so-and-so is so stupid, but are we really projecting the fact that we feel that way about ourselves? I would argue maybe yes. So when it comes to quitting this addiction, when it comes to living a better life, if you're constantly putting yourself down or even comparing yourself to other people, you're going to end up dragging yourself back down the path of addiction to cope with those emotions. So the next time you think to yourself, man, I really was a fuck up. I really messed all this up, and my life was so bad at my own doing. Don't say, yeah, that was stupid. Say, hey, I was messed up back then, yes, but what can I learn from that to move forward? Sickness gives the opportunity for a solution, whereas stupidity means that you're sentencing yourself to a life of being less than and continuously being a self-fulfilling prophecy of going back to your addiction. I learned that the hard way because I mentioned a little earlier, I tried to quit so many times on my own, and I kept going back to it, and every time I went back to it, I felt like an idiot because you don't think about it until it's done. But after I realized that my brain was just hardwired to be fucking me over, big car. Once I realized that my brain was hardwired to fuck me over, I got the opportunity to fix what was going on in my brain and move forward. Rather than sit around and be upset about it, which doesn't solve anything, figure out what you can do about it, because that will create a solution and that will lead to a better life. Now, I don't know how much of this video I'll end up publishing. I don't know if you saw the whole thing without any edits at this point, but I tried to keep it real with you guys and just share my thoughts on sickness versus stupidity. You are not stupid. You are sick. And when you come to terms with that, you can make a change. That is the entire point of this video, and I hope that you're able to take that from what I said. Now, if you're looking for more tangible steps and looking for a deeper dive into the 4 things that I talked about that I do to recover from my gambling addiction, check out the video that I'm going to have linked above, because it really will make an impact on you if you learn from the experiences of others. Maybe it's not the exact formula that you end up using, But once you know what's working for me, you can take maybe even just a few pieces of that and apply it to you. Now, anyone who's able to do that isn't stupid, just so you know. You guys are really smart. In fact, people with gambling addictions tend to have a really high IQ. They typically tend to be smarter, and the reason they end up getting hooked to gambling is because they think they're the exception to the rules. They think they're the ones that are going to beat the casino and come out on top. And I get it. I went through the same thing. I thought I had every system possible in the book to try, that I was going to figure out how to come out on top. And it just didn't go that way. That's just the reality for me, because that's just the reality of gambling. But at the end of the day, guys, I'm living a better life now that I've come to terms with the fact that I've made bad decisions, but that doesn't mean that I needed to continue making them. And I hope that you can take some kind of positives from my story and apply them to your own. Please let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this mindset of sickness versus stupidity. And, call it what it is, call it whatever you want to call it. But if you're putting yourself down, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage for the rest of your life. So pick yourself up, live a better life, and all of that is going to happen one day at a time.